On the lifestyle section on Monday, what we do, we inspire you. We look for stories that can give you hope, that can let you know that it's not all doom and gloom, but there is hope, and there are some who've overcome. And if I would borrow the words of Nelson Mandela, he said, overcoming poverty is not a task of charity, but one of justice. Yet, many of us grow up in a very disadvantaged background, and you could choose to blame your environment, or you could use the same environment as a stepping stone to ensure that you have a better life ahead of you. Now, my guest today is Beatrice Olimo. Welcome into the studio, Beatrice. It's great to have you. And Beatrice, you're one who has grown up in a rather unfortunate environment, and one that many would not wish to grow up in. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, I grew up in Western Kenya and had very loving parents who did all they could to provide for us. But, you know, at the end of the day, there was not much to show for their hard work and their effort that they did. They did their best to take us to the schools that they could provide for us. So, you know, growing up, it was a lot of lack. Mostly not having what we needed for food, and there's a year I had to stay home and not go to school because there's no school fees. So we spent most of the time just trying to figure out where the next meal would come from. You know, that's how we express our creativity. So yeah, it was really hard growing up, like in that kind of a situation.
Okay, were there days maybe you didn't eat?
Yeah. We could get at least one meal a day, but some days we just woke up and we didn't know where the meal was going to come from, you know, so we could pray a lot and good neighbors could sometimes come and support us and give us some food. Yeah. So
okay. And what did your parents do? What were they doing for a living?
My dad worked for ECP for a while, but he got retrenched, so for a long time he didn't have a stable job, and my mom did her best to get involved in small businesses, but we had 12 kids. Wow. who all are very smart, very intelligent, going to school, so providing for that many people was not that easy.
Okay.
Yes.
Now tell me how it felt at this stage where you are 12 children, growing up in a family where you've realized that meals are not always guaranteed. How did you survive within the family?
We used our own creativity. We came together. Sometimes we could get like that. At that time, I remember half a quarter kilogram of sugar was 15 shillings. So maybe at the end of the day, we could get 15 shillings, and what do we do with that? We buy sugar and make strong tea. But it really brought us together. We really united together as a family because we felt like we were supporting each other. We had each other's back. And even if someone got 5 shillings, they did not consider themselves. They had to bring that into the family. So it brought a lot of unity and a lot of love amongst ourselves, and we prayed a lot together. So as much as it was hard, there were also good sides of it, because we really enjoyed that intimacy. It really brought us together, to really stand together to be able to survive.
Okay. Are there times that the poverty aspect made you disagree, or maybe even look at your parents as not very good parents, especially when you compare with other children?
You know, they did their best, so I could see how much they were trying. So we didn't think that they're not good parents because they were right there with us, going, you know, waking up in the morning, going to get the food, you know, just coming back empty-handed, but they did their best. They did their best. Yes.
All right. And how did that affect your studies? The fact that there are days you go with meals.
Yes.
There are times you're not sure if there's going to be school fees.
Yeah. You instead of focusing on studying, you're focusing on what you're going to eat. And I had the discussion before here, the politicians talking about school. When a kid doesn't have food to eat, they're not going to perform at their peak level. And you know, hunger it's so much torment. You know, it takes 90% of your thinking capacity. And you're in class, and what you're thinking about is how hungry you are, or if you're going to get the next meal. So I come from a very, very smart family. My sisters did exceptionally well. We were so bright, and I'm overwhelmed by how much most of my siblings managed to get to national schools and the universities in Kenya. I still am really amazed that they could do that. But it's, you know, we spent most of our time trying to creatively find something to eat. And very little energy we spent on, at that time, education is not that important to you. Food is important to you.
It was more looking for food than the education.
Yes.
Well, tell me, what were some of your lowest moments?
My lowest moments, the really lowest I came to was when I was in Form 3, so I could not go to school. You know, the other times we struggled, but I could still go to school, but I had to drop out of school for a year, and not even knowing what to do, not even having enough to eat. That was a really low time in my life. That year was really hard for me. It made me question so much about who I am, my beliefs, if there's anything good for me in this life. And that was a very painful time. That year was a very painful time.
Okay. Did you ever take time, maybe sometimes, to compare yourself with other children in the environment? And where were you in terms of lack?
Yes, we did. That happens a lot because, okay, we all grew up in the same neighborhood, so it's not like they were way above, but they could go to school. They had their basic needs. They could have their 3 meals. And that time, that is what you see. You know, for you, you just want to have 3 meals a day. And if other people can, you're like, I wish I had that. So there was a lot of comparison and wishing that I could go to school, wishing that I could have that, and feeling like you're at the very bottom. And so, yeah, that's how I felt. You always compare yourself with the other kids, even though, like, looking back, they were not that much ahead, you know. They were not, you know, way above us. We were almost at the same level, but just the fact that they could have 3 meals a day was something huge that was very huge to me.
Okay. Now, you are one who chose to not look at your background and blame it. I mean, there are times you find people who blame their background.
Yes.
I grew up in a very poor environment, was disadvantaged and all that, and that becomes their song and their reason for where they are today.
Absolutely.
What was your turning point, and what made you turn from, you didn't look at poverty as a disadvantage?
Yes. My turning point is eventually when I got done with high school, and I just didn't know what to do. I didn't know how I was going to go to college. And some missionaries came to where we were living, and they were starting a school for HIV orphans. And they were very friendly. They came to our church, and they invited me to volunteer at the school. They're like, you're done with high school, you know, we could use your help at the school that we're starting. So I was just there as a volunteer, like sitting with kids and helping kids after school, things like that. And then they could invite us to their homes, and I saw that they had books, they had their own personal libraries, and they had tapes from their churches. And they were very generous. They let us borrow their books, and that was a turning point for me because I literally read every book that I could find on their bookshelves. I listened to every tape, and I just got addicted to that information because it lifted me out of my misery. I felt like for the first time someone was giving me hope that I could actually change my circumstances and my situation, and I did not have to get stuck despite the fact that it had been so hard. I could rise up, and these words gave me hope. So after high school, and it's a habit that I still have up to now, I got addicted to books. I got addicted to personal development. And you could ask my family, I'm always reading, listening, and that is what brought tremendous change in my life. Listening to that, I was able to go to Texas and train as a teacher. Coming from a family where we hardly had enough food to eat, I was able to fly to Texas, went to school, trained as a teacher, came back and taught, and basically changed the economic situation in our family. And our family has thrived since then. And my things are functioning so wonderfully.
Okay. You read and you're inspired by all these tapes, and one may argue that that does not necessarily bring, you know, food on the table. How did that translate to success?
Yeah.
The fact that you're reading, because we also have very many people who read, but it still doesn't move them from one state to another.
The difference is taking action on what you read. You know, common sense is not always common practice. And I started reading about work ethics. So I outperformed at the school, you know, and I started getting paid before I was trained as a teacher. And, you know, just my character changed, my attitude changed. What I was bringing my best to what I was doing. I was present. I was loved by the students. I was loved by the kids. But I was getting these ideas from the books. Otherwise, I was just going to be average like anybody else. And it's because I was putting into practice what I was reading. And, you know, I read about, some books talked about tithing and giving 10%. So anything that I had, even if it was 500 shillings, I would give 50 shillings away, you know. So I just developed that habit. And this, you know, these principles, they do work. And once I started taking action on the ideas that I got from the books, things started turning around for me. Opportunities started coming my way that otherwise I would never have been aware of, even if they came. And I got bold to take steps. Even applying to this school in Texas took extraordinary courage, you know.
How did you get to Texas? How did you land?
It's a long story, but to make it short, is while I was working at this school and I was, you know, doing really well, I was performing really well, and you know, they suggested would you love to go and train as a teacher in Texas?
Who suggested?
The missionaries that I was working with, and I was like, that's interesting, but I was thinking, you don't know where I come from, you know, Texas. I'm trying to, you know.
And where had you come from? What was the village you were living in?
We were living in Beta.
So from Beta to Texas?
Yeah, from Beta to Texas. But so they were in Beta. So I'm like, you don't know that. We're just trying to put 3 meals on the table. So Texas, that's, you know, that's a little too far-fetched. But you know, as I kept listening to the information, I was like, you know what? I could just apply. You know, it just takes applying. It doesn't hurt. And I applied and I got accepted. I was like, oh, that's interesting. Maybe apply for a scholarship. And, you know, then I was turned down. They were like, no, we don't have scholarships. I was like, that's okay. You know, and then I said, maybe I need to apply for my visa. You know, sometimes they don't give visas. I didn't care. I'm like, let me just try. I got my visa, 5-year visa. And I only applied for 3. I was like, okay, interesting. And then I said, okay, let me get my ticket. And the ticket was, you know, that is where there was a big problem. And my dad...
Did you purchase your ticket or they bought it for you?
No, my parents. My dad, my grandma, you know, everybody came together. They sold all the cattle that they had. We only got 49,000. And there's an organization in Westlands that helps people with student visas get a one-way ticket. And when we went there, the ticket that the price of my ticket was 49,000. So I was so excited, you know, the 49,000 that we'd worked so hard to get. And then when I landed in America, I remember they told me there was no scholarship. When I got to America, I got an email from the school telling me that they were giving me a scholarship.
What, out of the application that you had done before?
Yes.
Okay,
and
what
before
made them change?
I don't know. I still don't know up to today. You know, I don't know. Before they said that there were no scholarships. Maybe someone had applied from another country and was denied a visa, and so I got, you know, so I just don't know. I was just like, wow, this is wonderful. And so I got to Texas. I had a really good time. I was working really hard. I aced all my classes. What are some of the challenges you went through once you got to Texas? Because I'm trying to imagine, here you are from Beta, and here is a big city you've always heard of, America, and suddenly you've landed there somewhat miraculously. What are some of the challenges you went through? I ate too much. You know, for the first time I was seeing abundance of food, so I just like ate like crazy. That was the first time in my life I was seeing so much food. I had never seen that. Never. So I ate and ate and ate, and, you know, I puffed up like a balloon. So it was hard just adjusting the way you know, I was from a small village, and there was culture shock, the way they, you know, relate with each other. People are more friendly and open, and, you know, people are open to speak their mind in class. I come from a background where you don't talk about your feelings, you don't even express who you are. So I grew up socially, like my social skills developed a little bit. I had to stretch out a little bit, I was trained not to look at someone in the eye. So going to Texas, not looking at someone in the eye is rude. So I had to adjust that, and that took me a long time, and I felt like I was being rude, looking at people in the eye, you know. So it was a lot of adjustments, and that's when I started really dealing with my emotions. Some of the things that I had had not even dealt with as a kid growing up. You know, I never had time to deal with my emotions. We were just so busy trying to, you know, get water. Yeah. So I started dealing with some of my emotions, and it was a moment of like really good growth for me. And a lot changed in me, and there was a library. So I dived into studying. I read and read and read.
So you finished with Texas and came back to Kenya.
Yes.
How did that now pan out, and what happened now once you got back? Did you go back to Mbita? Were you now suddenly a city girl?
No, this is my first time living in Nairobi. I went to Mbita, I loved it. My economic situation changed. I was working at the school, getting paid, and you know, really things changed for our family. Life was really good. I was a great teacher. I loved what I was doing. But I hit that mark where I started asking myself again, why am I here? You know? And I felt after 4 years, I felt like, no, after 2.5 years, I think 3, I felt like, no, something has to change. I feel like I'm not, yes, I'm blessed right now. I have food that I need, but something needs to change. So I moved to Eldoret in search of, you know, what that is. Landed in another teaching job, homeschooling for missionaries. At the same time, living with my siblings, taking care of them, educating them. Most of the information that I was getting from the books, I was teaching them about personal development, saving money, investing, you know, just tithing, just some good principles, because I didn't want us to go back to poverty. That is just something I swore that I'm never, ever going to be poor again. And so I was like, I taught my sisters this basic principles, how they could save, even if it's pocket money, 100 shillings. You learn how to save, you learn how to give, and you live on 70%. And so I had a great time in Eldoret. And this day I was watching Christian TV, and I saw this guy. I was teaching in Eldoret, and I saw this guy on TV. His name is Andrew Womack, and he was talking about this Bible school in Colorado. And I felt like that's where I wanted to go. I felt like there was this God somewhere there that I wanted to seek him. So I went to Bible school. Now, in the interest of time, you're currently a life coach. Yes.
What is a life coach, and how do you empower people?
Oh, how I empower people. I help people who are just like me or worse, or in my situation. I help them know and create that. I help them know that there's a life that they can truly, truly love living. Because most of the people that I meet, they're not happy with their lives. It's just merely existing, surviving, just going to work for a paycheck. But I help people really know that they can truly, truly, truly live a life that they absolutely love living and still get paid. That we don't have to be just existing, just surviving. That we can be passionate, we can be alive, we can thrive, we can really live life fully and express ourselves freely and love openly. And that's possible living here on this earth, plus making a fortune or making income while doing something that we truly love. And it just doesn't happen. It just didn't happen for me. There's a step-by-step process. There's a way of thinking, a way of behaving, and a way of doing things to actually turn the patterns of your current results into the results that you have. But it takes commitment, it takes doing what you need, it takes deciding for, you know, this is my life and I am going to decide to make it a really good one. Wow. You know, if dream building was easy, everybody could be living their dream life. But not many people are doing so because it's not easy. You know, it takes time, it takes practice. You know, when you look at people who've accomplished great things in life, you think it's easy. No, they went through a process. So I show people that process. And I tell them, if you go through the process, yes, it will take some time. You'll get the results. And you don't have to live like this anymore. So that's, I love what I do. I'm so thrilled at what I do. And I'm helping people in Kenya internationally. And I'm having a webinar on Wednesday. And just sharing these life-changing principles that we can truly design and create a life that we absolutely love.
Oh, fantastic. Now, if somebody was out there and they feel maybe their background is what you had and they'd like to live just like you've lived, maybe in form of encouragement, how can they reach you?
They could find me on Facebook, Biti Solimo, or go to www.lifemasteryinstitute.com. You know, that's a mouthful. Or just email me at bitisolimo@yahoo.com. Beatrice Olimo is O-L-L-I-M-O, Beatrice Olimo, yes, at yahoo.com. And I'll help you design and create vision your very, very best 2015 and beyond. Plus, I'm hosting a webinar this Wednesday, so you can go to www.facebook.com/Live the Dream. And then you'll find me, you can register. It's going to be amazing. We've had more than 80 people register from all over the world. So this is going to be an amazing time, and we'd love to have you with us.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Beatrice, for sharing your story and inspiring us this wonderful Monday. Thank you so very much. Well, for those of us at home, you've got the contacts, and Beatrice Olimo's life is not one that you can just wish for. Don't blame your background. You can actually do something about it. Like we said earlier on, it's a choice that you make. You can either use your background and blame it, or you can use it as a stepping stone to where you will be tomorrow and be an inspiration like Beatrice Olimo is right now.